Hello students, I welcome you all to today's lesson which is about the flowering plants. Scientifically, flowering plants are known as angiosperms. We discussed the gymnosperms, the first seed plants that bear ovules and seeds exposed on the plant surface, whereas angiosperms or the flowering plants which have their ovules sealed within the flower and their seeds contained within a fruit. Angiosperms are considered to be the most recent and advanced group of plants that have occurred on earth. There are more than 260,000 species of angiosperms in the world, belonging to over 400 families and 12,500 genera. Angiosperms occupy majority of the terrestrial space on earth and are the major components of the world's vegetation. Angiosperms ਇਸ ਧਰਤੀ ਤੇ ਲਗਭਗ ਹਰ ਥਾਂ ਪਾਏ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਫਰੈਸ਼ ਵਾਟਰ ਅਤੇ ਮਰੀਨ ਹੈਬਿਟੈਟਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੈਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਜੜੀ ਜਲ ਪੌਦਿਆਂ ਵਾਂਗ ਵਿਚਰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਟੈਰੇਸਟਰੀਅਲ ਪਲਾਂਟਸ ਵਾਂਗ ਵੀ ਮਿਲਦੇ ਹਨ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਸਾਈਜ਼, ਲੌਂਗੇਵਿਟੀ ਅਤੇ ਸਮੁੱਚੇ ਰੂਪ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਭਿੰਨ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਸਮਾਲ ਹਰਬਸ, ਪੈਰਾਸਿਟਿਕ ਪਲਾਂਟਸ, ਸ਼ਰਬਸ, ਜਾਇੰਟ ਟਰੀਜ਼, ਵਾਈਨਸ ਹੋ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਨ। ਐਂਜੀਓਸਪਰਮਸ ਮਨੁੱਖੀ ਜੀਵਨ ਲਈ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹਨ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਧਰਤੀ ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤੀਆਂ ਫਸਲਾਂ ਐਂਜੀਓਸਪਰਮਸ ਹਨ। ਐਂਜੀਓਸਪਰਮਸ ਸਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਸਾਧਨ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਮੈਡੀਸਿਨਸ ਐਂਡ ਟਿੰਬਰ ਦੇ ਵੀ ਸੋਰਸਸ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਸਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਫੂਡ ਸੋਰਸਸ ਅਤੇ ਸਜੀਵਾਂ ਲਈ ਹੈਬਿਟੈਟ ਯਾਨੀ ਆਵਾਸ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਮਨੁੱਖਾਂ ਲਈ ਭੋਜਨ ਅਤੇ ਸ਼ੈਲਟਰ ਮਟੀਰੀਅਲ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਇਹ ਪੌਦਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਡਾ ਸਮੂਹ ਹੈ ਅਤੇ ਇਹ ਇਕੋਲੋਜੀਕਲੀ ਵੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਬਹੁਤ ਇੰਪੋਰਟੈਂਟ ਹੈ। Furthermore, angiosperms are essential for human existence as the vast majority of the world's crops are angiosperms. So, currently the angiosperms are the largest group of plants and the most important from an ecological viewpoint. So, first of all, let us have an idea about how and where these flowering plants are placed in the plant kingdom.
Plants are classified into 12 phyla or divisions based largely on reproductive characteristics. These 12 phyla can be placed into three major groups: non-vascular plants, vascular plants without seeds, vascular plants with seeds. As we know, vascular plants with seeds contain two subgroups: non-flowering plants, that is, gymnosperms, and flowering plants, that is, angiosperms. Students, in today's topic, we will focus only on the flowering plants, that is, angiosperms. Let us discuss.
So students, angiosperms or flowering plants ਸਾਡੇ ਲਈ plant group ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ familiar group ਹੈ। ਇਨ੍ਹਾਂ flowering plants ਦਾ ਮੁੱਖ feature ਕੀ ਹੈ? ਹਾਂ, ਬਿਲਕੁਲ ਠੀਕ, flowers। ਪਰ ਕਈ flowering plants ਅਜਿਹੇ ਹਨ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਪਸ਼ਟ flowers ਨਹੀਂ ਹਨ। ਆਓ flowering plants ਬਾਰੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ knowledge ਦੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਜ਼ਰਾ ਸੋਚੋ, ਇਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਕਿਹੜੇ flowering plants ਹਨ? banana, mango, wheat, rice, tomato ਜਾਂ apple? ਹਾਂ, ਇਹ ਸਾਰੇ angiosperms ਜਾਂ flowering plants ਹੀ ਹਨ। ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਲਈ ਇਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਪਛਾਣ ਫਲਾਵਰਿੰਗ ਪਲਾਂਟਸ ਦੇ ਰੂਪ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਰਨੀ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਿਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੋਵੇਗੀ। ਇਹ ਆਸਾਨ ਹੋਣਾ ਸੀ ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਫਲਾਵਰਿੰਗ ਪਲਾਂਟਸ ਫਲ ਅਤੇ ਬੀਜ ਵੀ ਪੈਦਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਨ। In Greek, angio means container or vessel and sperma means seed. So, angiosperms or flowering plants are those plants in which seeds are formed inside fruits and the sporophylls are organized into flowers. Angiosperms ਇੱਕ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਲੀਵਸ ਅਤੇ ਸਟੈਮਸ ਕਈ ਸ਼ੇਪਸ ਦੇ ਅਤੇ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਅਰੇਂਜਮੈਂਟਸ ਵਾਲੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਹਨ। ਐਂਜੀਓਸਪਰਮਸ ਦੀਆਂ ਰੂਟਸ ਵੀ ਡਿਫਰੈਂਟ ਫਾਰਮ ਅਤੇ ਪੈਟਰਨਸ ਵਾਲੀਆਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ। Let us now study the easily recognized features of the angiosperms.
Characteristic features of angiosperms. Angiosperms are the most successful of all living plants. Angiosperms can live in all types of climates and environments. Some live in the desert with little or no water, while others live completely submerged under water. These plants have even been recorded at a height of 6,000 meters in the Himalayas. Some plants, like Venda, live as epiphytes on other plants. You know, epiphytes means dependent on other plants. Here, in this case, plants are only dependent for space and not for food and water. The leaves in angiosperms show reticulate and parallel venation. Angiosperms are flowering plants. That is its characteristic feature. The flowers normally consist of 4 whorls of appendages. The 2 outer accessory or non-essential whorls are sepals and petals. The other 2 essential parts are stamens, the microsporophylls, and carpel, the megasporophylls. The stamen consists of anther and filament, as shown here in the visual. These anthers produce pollen grains. Carpel consists of ovary containing ovules, style, and stigma. In angiosperms, insects and animals act as pollinating agents. That's why the flowers possess bright and showy petals, edible pollen, and nectar. Pollination by an insect has been shown here. There is double fertilization in angiosperms. Like the gymnosperms, the angiosperms are heterosporous, that is, produce 2 kinds of spores. Angiosperms have well-developed vascular system or vascular bundle having xylem and phloem tissues. Xylem consists of vessels as well as tracheids. Vessels are dead, open-ended tubular cells. Phloem consists of companion cells, which are tiny cells with dense contents lying next to the sieve tube cells. The angiosperms are divided into monocotyledons and dicotyledons. Monocotyledons are the plants whose seeds typically have one cotyledon, as shown here. In maize, that is a monocot seed, and dicots have two cotyledons, as in bean seeds, that is dicot seeds. Monocots have fibrous roots or adventitious roots, while these dicots have tap roots or primary roots. Leaves of monocot plants have parallel venation, whereas leaves of dicot plants have reticulate or net venation. Examples of monocots are orchids, grasses, lilies, and of dicot are roses, mango, peepal, etc.
So students, these were the general characteristics of angiosperms. After getting the idea about these plants, we will now explore that how the flowers and fruit develop in angiosperms. So, let us check it out. Development of flower and fruit. As you know, the angiosperms are the flowering plants. The flower serves as a means of reproduction. The angiospermic flower has 10 major parts. If you observe the flower, you will be able to see and locate them more easily.
The stalk of the flower is called pedicel, as shown here in the visual. There are 4 whorls which constitute a flower. On the outside is the covering or protective part of flower known as sepals. Sepals are green in color, as you can see here. The second whorl of floral leaves is usually colored and showy to attract animal pollinators. This part is called the petals. The sepals collectively form calyx, and petals collectively form corolla, as you can see here. If you look inside the petals, you will find the stamens. The group of stamens is called as androecium, and they represent the male reproductive part. Each stamen is regarded as specialized microsporophyll. The stamens consist of anther and filament, as shown here in the visual. These anthers produce pollens. The gynoecium consists of one or many separate carpels. Carpel represents the female reproductive part. The carpel is rolled and consists of ovary, style, and stigma. Ovary is the basal swollen part of carpel. The stigma is sticky. The stigma is the part of the pistil that receives the pollen. The style is a narrow, usually cylindrical and more or less filiform extension of the ovary, which, when present, bears the stigma at its apex. Carpels are specialized megasporophylls which bear the megasporangia or ovules as shown here in the visual. The anthers produce pollens. To be pollinated, pollen must be moved from a stamen to the stigma. The transfer of pollen grains from an anther to a stigma, the receptive end of a carpel, is called pollination. When pollen from a stamen is transferred to the stigma of that same flower, it is called self-pollination. When pollens from the stamen of a flower are transferred to stigma of a different flower, it is called cross-pollination. In angiosperms, pollination is basically completed by insects and is known as entomophily. Many types of insects, such as bees, butterflies, moths, flies, pollinate plants. Actually, they do not intentionally pollinate the plant. It's accidental. While feeding, the animals accidentally rub against the stamens and get pollen stuck all over themselves. When they move to another flower to feed, some of the pollen falls off onto the stigma of the next visited flower. Then the pollen grain germinates. The pollen tube grows down through the style and enters the embryo sac through the micropyle. The pollen tube apparently moves in on the egg cell based on chemical signals from the synergid cells. The two male nuclei are released, one fusing with the egg to form the zygote and develops into the embryo, the other fusing with the second polar nuclei to form the triploid endosperm, a nutritive tissue. In other words, double fertilization occurs and the ovule develops into a seed and the entire ovary develops into a fruit.
ਐਂਜੀਓਸਪਰਮਸ ਦੀ ਫਲਾਵਰ ਡਿਵੈਲਪਮੈਂਟ ਅਤੇ ਫਰੂਟ ਹੈਬਿਟਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਨ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਪੌਦਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਸਪੈਸੀਫਿਕ ਪਰਪਸਸ ਲਈ ਡਿਵੈਲਪ ਕੀਤੇ ਪੈਕਿਊਲੀਅਰ ਕੈਰੈਕਟਰਸ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ. If we talk about the size of angiosperms, it varies greatly. The largest or the tallest angiosperm is the eucalyptus tree, which can grow more than 300 feet and the smallest angiosperms, the duckweed, known as Wolffia, is barely 1 millimeter in length. It is found floating on the surface of freshwater ponds. If we consider the longevity, that is, duration of life or lifespan of angiosperms, these plants can be ephemerals, annuals, biennials or perennials. Let us check some other characters.
If we talk about their nutritional behavior, these plants are autotrophic as well as heterotrophic. As you know, autotrophs manufacture their food by the process of photosynthesis. Some angiosperms show parasitic mode of nutrition. The parasite plants live in or on other living organisms called the host, receiving shelter and deriving nutrients from it. The parasites may cause harm to the host plant. Parasite plants have special roots called hostorial roots which penetrate into the host plant and draw food material from them. The common example is Cuscuta or amarbale, or the dodder plant, which live on other plants like ziziphus, citrus, etc. In insectivorous plants, like in pitcher plant, that is Nepenthes, the lamina of leaf is modified into a large pitcher. The leaf apex serves as a lid. The pitcher attracts insects due to its gaudy color and nectar. The insects roam into the neck of pitcher in search of more nectar. The lid closes and digestive glands digest the insects.
Students, ਤੁਸੀਂ angiosperms ਦੀ appearance, growth, seed development, fruits, food habits ਬਾਰੇ ਜਾਣ ਲਿਆ ਹੈ। ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਪੌਦਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਪਛਾਣ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਹੋ। ਹੁਣ ਅਸੀਂ angiosperms ਦੇ ਵੱਖ-ਵੱਖ ਸਮੂਹਾਂ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। angiosperms ਦੀ ਕਲਾਸੀਫਿਕੇਸ਼ਨ ਉਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਫਲੋਰਲ ਕੈਰੈਕਟਰਿਸਟਿਕਸ ਦੇ ਆਧਾਰ ਤੇ ਕੀਤੀ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਹੈ। Classification of angiosperms. There have been several attempts to classify angiosperms. One of the earliest attempts in this direction was that of Carolus Linnaeus. He attempted a classification of angiosperms based on the characteristics related to flowers. George Bentham and Joseph Dalton Hooker, the two English taxonomists at Royal Botanical Garden, Kew, England, gave a detailed classification of plant kingdom, particularly the angiosperms. They gave an outstanding system of classification, genera plantarum, which was published in 3 volumes between 1862 to 1883. It is a natural system of classification. So, let us discuss this classification of angiosperms.
Bentham and Hooker have grouped seed-bearing plants into a major division called phanerogamia or phanerogams division, which has been divided into 3 classes, namely Dicotyledonnae, Gymnospermae, Monocotyledonnae. Class Dicotyledonate includes angiosperms, in which the seed bears two cotyledons and leaves exhibit reticulate venation. It is divided into three subclasses: polypetalae, gamopetalae, and monoclamidae. Class Gymnospermae includes the gymnosperms, in which seeds are not enclosed in fruits. This class is divided into three families: Nitaceae, Coniferaceae, and Cycadaceae. Class Monocotyledonate includes angiosperms, in which the seed bears only one cotyledon. The leaves exhibit parallel venation. It is divided into 7 series, which are Microspermae, Epigynae, Coronarii, Calycinae, Nudiflorae, Epocarpae, and Glumaceae. Each of the series mentioned under dicotyledonate and monocotyledonate have been further divided into orders and families. Bentham and Hooker classified the angiosperms into 202 families.
ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿ ਸਕਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ angiosperms most recent ਅਤੇ most advanced plant group ਹੈ. Angiosperms have been of immense importance to humans and therefore are very important economically. So before concluding this topic, let us study some of the economic importance of angiosperms.
Economic importance of angiosperms. These angiosperms are the major source of food. Wheat, corn, and rice are consumed worldwide, or more commonly, we eat the roots of carrots, leaves of lettuce, and stalk and flowers of broccoli. They are the major source of edible oil, for example, peanuts, that is, ground nuts, mustard, and sunflower, etc. Spices are also obtained from plants like dhania, that is, Coriandrum sativum, pepper, etc. Other uses of angiosperms are seen in drinks such as tea, coffee, and cocoa. Large numbers of flowering plants are used for preparing medicines. Opium, cocaine, and quinine are some examples of drugs that were derived from plants. Angiosperm trees yield valuable hardwood and are used as timber.
So students, enough for today. Let us quickly check with some short questions what you have grabbed today. Be attentive. Here are some questions. The first question is, what are angiosperms? Answer. Angiosperms or flowering plants are those plants in which seeds are formed inside fruits and the sporophylls are organized into flowers. Next question. What are the two main groups into which flowering plants are divided? Answer. Angiosperms are divided into monocotyledons and dicotyledons. Next question. Give two examples of monocot plants. Answer. Orchids and lilies are the two examples of monocot plants? Next question is, give 3 examples of dicot plants. The answer is, roses, mango, peepal are dicotyledonous plants. My next question is, what is pollination? Answer, the transfer of pollen grains from an anther to the stigma, that is, the receptive end of a carpel, is called pollination. Hope I have made a successful attempt to clear your concepts regarding angiosperms, which will help you in fetching good marks in the exam. Thanks for your cooperation and attention. Looking forward to the next class. See you then. Thanks.